Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo. I'm your host and keeper of the Hairy Channel, and with me tonight are minions DrFunctional,
Привет, comrades.
Serenity Star 13,
Hello.
and Geodes, aka Crabbo with a Stabbo.
Hola.
How you doing, Geodes?
I'm good. I'm recovering from a cold and a few other things. Part of my mouth is numb, so that's great.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So is it a cold in quotes or actually a cold?
It was a cold, turned to a sinus infection. I'm almost over all of that, but I'm just waiting for a feeling to come back. So,
Yeah, I always know it's going to be
numb?
a fun day when you can take your pulse just by thinking about your upper molars.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, been there, done that. Well, I'm glad you're on the mend. Hey, Serenity.
Hello.
What have you done in the last week that you want to share with folks?
Nothing too insane. Did garden work because it was nice for a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
Ripped a honeysuckle out off of a fence because those things are, although they smell lovely, are invasive as fuck. And getting stuff set up for when mid-March comes and I can finally start planting shit.
We had a honeysuckle bush when I was a kid, and it was ginormous. It was so big that when I was a kid, I could climb on it.
Oh yeah, they get
and
huge.
and you could just sometimes just kind of like take the nectar from it and put it on your tongue. It was just
Well, it's like we don't have a lot of chain link fence, but we have chain link fence on one side of the property, and the problem is that it managed to pick the dead center of the bar of the chain link fence. So if I let it keep growing, it was just going to bow it. So I had to just clip it all off. I used Roundup on it to kill that mother effer, and hopefully that does it, but they can be massively invasive. So we're going to see if it does it or not.
Yeah, that's not the most invasive thing, but you don't want to let it get out of hand.
Oh yeah, no. It smells pretty. It's just it was sad to watch it go because
well, I still sort of fondly remember the one we had as a kid, but we also had pine trees. We had this clutch of 5 pine trees. So there was 4 of them and then one in the middle. And they were Monterey pines. They're big trees. And I would climb in those things all the time. Probably child welfare would come and just take me away at this point. But man, I used to climb in those things, and I took some plywood and like a bunch of old stuff, and I built a fort up in it. It's like, it was super cool. It was great being a kid back in the day.
Oh, there used to be a ginormous blue spruce that I used to climb because that was half the fun of just climbing up the tree. Well,
with 5 of them, there were so many interlocking branches that it was practically like climbing a ladder. I mean, you could get way up there, and it's almost impossible to fall out of it because it was so thick with branches.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was, being a kid wasn't so bad.
Heck yeah.
Anyway, hi, Mike. Mike R. Let's see. Hey, Functional, how's it going?
Hold on, I'm coming.
Okay.
I turn around,
Jeez.
and there is a hot dog on the floor because one of the kittens decided to take it off the stove where I grilled the hot dogs for dinner. Yeah.
These cats are
they
assholes.
don't eat them. They don't eat them. She just wanted. I don't know. It was probably him, but just dropped it at my feet. Yeah. That was kind of the day I had. I was playing fetch with the female for a better part of the day. She likes just chasing a toy and then grabbing it and bringing it.
We're still talking about the cats, right? We haven't.
Yeah. The female cat and I play.
We haven't switched to Elwyn. Okay.
Elwyn doesn't fetch.
I was gonna say she's gonna kick your ass. Yeah. So let's see. That's your life. So my life was like this. What?
Damn.
What?
Cats. That's your life. All summed up into.
So this pretty much characterizes what my life has been like. This is not normal for us, but it's not something that's never happened. I mean, several times in my life, I've just said screw it to work and taken a snow day and just gone off to the mountains to play in the snow. And nobody ever goes with me. I always have to go by myself because all of my friends suck. But anyway, yeah, huge swaths of California were covered in snow up in the mountains. It's if you were flying into San Jose right now, you would be forgiven for thinking it was someplace else because there's just snow on all the peaks surrounding everything. It's pretty sweet. Let's see, I was going to show you. Here's some aerial footage just sort of showing what the Bay Area looks like. You know, some of the mountains. I've turned the sound off because we don't particularly care. But this is a little unusual for us. The coyote's like, what?
It's like, what the fuck is this shit?
This is the area. This is the area around San Francisco Bay Area right now. The higher hills have all this stuff. Napa and Sonoma have a bunch of snow. The East Bay Hills have a ton of snow. There's not a lot of snow right there, but they made it to the top. So congratulations, everybody. But this is actually pretty cool. I mean, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I think it's really fun.
Now you know why we live where we live, right, Serenity?
Hey man, our we still get a little bit of snow around here even now, but nothing like that yet.
Well, this is up at altitude. You know, down in the valley floor, there's no snow. So you can look at snow and go, that's pretty over there. And then if you want to go to it, you can, which is the best way to enjoy snow.
See, that's the same thing with me in my apartment. I can be up here on the 8th floor and look down and be like, there's snow. And if I want to go to it, I can. I typically don't.
I don't really usually have a choice, but no, I get your feelings.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be more of it, which will be great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is like, as long as no one gets hurt, I'm like, this is awesome for California because this is going to help refill so many things or get some water in the system and all that kind of stuff. So I think.
Well, it's like you're reading my mind, Serenity. I went to the California drought page, and they say, you know, California is in drought. Here are the conditions. It's like, drought? Is there a drought? I can't really see a drought. What drought?
Yeah,
Where?
there's like extreme drought down near in the
down here.
Yeah, that's it. Everything else is either severe drought or like moderate drought. Actually, it looks like an up.
This is not a state in drought. This just isn't. It's like they forgot to update all of their stuff. And the snowpack right now is fairly massive. Hey, let's look at the snowpack just for fun. Okay. Northern California snowpack, 142% of normal for this date. Percentage of our end of the season, we're already up to 117% of what you usually get all season. Central, 178% of normal. South, 207% of normal. Statewide, 173% of normal. There's no drought in California, but you know, sort of like the pandemic, the officials who run all these things, they don't want to give up their authority where they can tell you how long you can take a shower for and all this other stuff. None of this data indicates a drought. I mean, we're good, at least until the next drought.
Well, there's also the fact that it's like anything. We can have, it's like any statistics, anything that's based on statistics. We can make the best summarization of a guess of what could happen and what affects stuff. But Mother Nature will proceed to look at you and go, you're a dumb fuck, and then give us the middle finger and then do what she wants. Like, it's one of those things that, yes, still, it's like recycling, or being environmentally aware. Let's use that term.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to be environmentally aware. It's good to do as much as you can for the environment. It's good not to overuse stuff. It's good to do. But Mother Nature going to do what she going to do. Like, you have no way of changing or stopping anything. Not really. And as more data comes out and we find out, hey, all the bad particles that we had in the air actually made the planet not stable, but it calmed a lot of stuff down, because that was the article we read several months ago, where it was like that may have been the reason why we didn't have, and now that the air is getting cleaned up because many countries are starting to go the air quotes green path, we're having worse storms. It's one of those things that it's kind of like, maybe we need to accept the fact that as human beings, we can't know everything. And we can only prepare for as best as we can, and then we just need to go from there and stop being so fucking arrogant about everything.
Well, I think preparing for the worst is good. Sorry, Functional, go ahead.
Oh, it's definitely good to prepare for the worst. Have a, bug out bag and a plan. Like, if things go wrong, if you don't have power and water for a week, what do? I guarantee you most people out there, especially in urban areas, don't have any plan. Zero plan. I don't have a great one being in a major city. I have a bug out bag. I have some provisions that will last indefinitely, etc. But to your point, I don't disagree with anything you just said, Serenity, other than I think you're giving them too much credit in saying that they base this on data. It's like Harry was saying, it's all fear mongering. It's all them wanting to keep control, justify their funding and expenditures every year. And it's at least telling to me in a way that when they say in this article here at the bottom, oh, go back.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I
wanted to read a passage. A growing body of evidence is starting to show that our current drought is an extension of the 2012 to 2016 drought, interrupted by just a few wet years.
Interrupted by not drought.
By not drought, yes. I mean, it's oh my god, it's like everybody in any position of power in your state has gone full Cenk Uyghur.
Oh yeah,
it's insane to me. The more and more stories that come out that, like, if I had the choice, I'd rather be paying attention to other issues. It's not a matter of not thinking that they're important, but they're not important to me in the grand scheme of things. Like, I'm sorry that, California sucks, Harry, but I mean,
well,
what can I do? Not a whole much. So I don't really pay attention to but the stuff I do see on a week-to-week basis is just stacking this pile of insanity ever higher. The recent rapist that Gascon came out and said is not a rapist is like, what is going on? How is it that these people have tricked so many into constantly supporting them through votes and appointments and stuff? Like, it boggles my mind.
What the hell did Gascon do this time? Which criminal did he let go?
Too much into it, because there was something about a tea rapist who, let's call them a Trappist. Who did some naughty things with some women in some prison and then was let go out of the prison or something.
No! I found the article. Oh no!
Yeah, there's a bunch of third rail stuff out there right now. Like, we're not going to talk about Scott Adams. We're just not.
The details of that subject, because they all blend together, and seeing the fact that there's so many stories of that kind of stuff, it's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Oh,
if that happened in my backyard, there would be, trouble.
Do this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the good news is California's super pretty. We've got plenty of water. That's not going to stop them from trying to come in and put 0.1 gallon per minute shower heads in and toilets that you have to flush 18 times. It's not just that their intentions are skewed, but their implementation is always terrible. But we could spend all day talking about how much California sucks. Let's not do that. All right, let's see. So, well, actually, I guess one more California thing. These cities are home to the happiest Americans.
Why don't I believe Goldman Sachs? Why don't I believe them?
Not to bury the lead too badly, but weirdly, Sunnyvale, Fremont, and San Jose, California. Sunnyvale, California is supposed to be the #1 place where people are the happiest. I don't know. Just telling you. Well-being and quality of life is where Sunnyvale, California ranks best. The city has the highest percentage of individuals earning $100,000 or more, and the third lowest percentage of adults living below the poverty level, and the fifth highest marriage rate. Violent crime in the area is also low, with roughly 149 violent crimes per 100,000 residents.
Oh, that's why, because their median income is $150,000 for that area.
Oh yeah, upscale areas.
Well, there's places with more income than that.
Well,
Sunnyvale is not the richest town in Silicon Valley. That's not the only thing.
The point is that people making a decent enough wage like that tend to be happier.
Yeah, and 56.8% marriage rate. That's not bad at all, actually.
56.
Oh, that's also Feinstein's area too, apparently.
No, it's not really Feinstein's area, but well, I guess she's a senator, so it's all her area.
And
However, I think part of the reason these numbers are the way they are is so many people in Sunnyvale come from somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what I was
Married
looking at.
couples coming from Asia and the Asian subcontinent, India. Lots and lots and lots of, smart people from India, them and their families move to Sunnyvale.
Yeah,
and that's where they live. So that's why there's so many married people. They're not native-born people that are married, a lot of them. They're people who came here with their spouses.
It's like 47%, I think it is.
Yeah,
I'd be non-native.
I'd be interested to know what their marriage rate is, like the rate of actual marriages happening.
So it's Asian non-Hispanic is the biggest number of people there. That's 48.1, and then white non-Hispanic is 29.1. Multiracial, not cultural, non-Hispanic is 4.3. Hispanic other is 7.2, and white Hispanic is 666. But that's Asian non-Hispanic is 73,000 people, and white non-Hispanic is 44,000 people.
Yeah, well, followed by Arlington, Virginia, Bellevue, Washington, and Fremont, California. Fremont, California, same general idea. It's largely a tech bedroom community. Yeah. If you don't have quite enough money to live in Sunnyvale, you end up moving to Fremont.
Fremont, yeah.
Yeah, and I see that in Arlington, Bellevue. Like, you see this recurring. People, the median incomes are pretty high considering.
Mm-hmm. And then San Jose, but San Jose suffers from some issues with crime and a lot of other stuff. San Jose is not, there's definitely parts of San Jose where you don't want to go.
Yeah,
but I will say this about Sunnyvale: it is an extremely well-run town.
Yes.
If you go to the, you know how you have to deal with permits, building permits, and that sort of stuff. Sunnyvale is one of the easier towns to deal with. It's actually so well run that it's won numerous awards for being a well-run city.
I think you're discounting Buffy the Vampire Slayer's.
I know. I think that was Sunnydale, but anyway, they actually have a pretty good thing. They do a lot of cross training between the police and the fire department. So essentially, the younger guys do like 2-year stints on either, so they're fully cross-trained. So in the event of an emergency, all the police guys actually know how to do search and rescue, and it's not a terrible place. But it's California, so it sucks. I didn't mean to make this sound like a commercial for Sunnyvale.
Oh no, you're good. This is very interesting though, because it's like I'm interested to know their criteria for happiest, because I'm curious the reason why there's only one East Coast.
Well, they're kind of telling you it's, crime rates, median incomes.
Well, I know, but
these kinds of things. No. I agree with you. I want to see the actual data, but it's interesting that like it's so seems narrow focused on these things, on what makes you happy.
Yeah, and also I wanted to see who pays for the study, because it's like the fact that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 10 entries are California. And it's like
that kind of sounds sus.
Yeah, I'm like
that's what I like about you folks, because I knew you'd see how sus this was. I think it's sus.
Yeah, because it's
like by George Gascon.
Yeah, or the
paid for by
Feinstein's department or something like that.
What's his name? Stupid hair.
Oh yeah, Governor Goodhair.
Governor
Newsom.
Goodhair.
Yeah, that guy.
Thank you.
Although I don't know why, but Plano, Texas being number 6, I find funny for some reason. I don't know why. I think I'm getting Plano confused with somewhere else.
Maybe.
The name sounds familiar, but
Wake Up. That's what I'm getting confused with. That's what it was. Because it was just the O at the end. It was just my dyslexia kicked in and threw me. That's what it was.
Part of the issue here is essentially they're skewing their stats heavily toward financial well-being. Yeah. And so they're just, the reason you're getting it is because there's just a bunch of overpaid people in California, and that's what's skewing things. It doesn't necessarily mean they're happier. Well,
it is good to know that at least from you being from California, we do know that at least Sunnyvale deserves a little bit of credit for the fact that they're so well run, which does help, that doesn't bother me. But like the rest of them, I've been to Arlington. No.
I've been to Arlington too.
No. So hi, what's wrong with Arlington?
There's better run places in Virginia that are happier.
Okay.
Alexandria,
I visited, people were friendly. It looked like a more upscale sort of area.
Well, Arlington is because of all the governmental stuff,
But
most
this
likely, which is once
was-
again the well-being score.
I think
Yeah.
there I was like
Governmental
99 or
bodies.
2000. So
So
you know,
it's
20 years
one of
out.
those things. But there's better places in Virginia, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, but
So
are they
much-
cities? We're talking about
Yes.
cities. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm asking genuinely.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
no,
know.
you're good. But like
I mean, obviously things can change in the drop of a hat, and I've been at least 24 years removed from ever visiting the United States.
Oh,
So
well,
Well-
it's just the well-being score is obviously skewed by the governmental bodies at Arlington. That's
Yeah.
that's the big thing.
Well, I mean, it's all BS.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I can tell you that Sunnyvale is not a terrible place, and in a lot of ways, Fremont is not a terrible place.
That's good.
Yeah.
I want people to be happy. I'm happy that they're happy. It's just some of these other ones. I'm like,
San Jose
I
is
want
like,
people to be
"Eh."
happy. I want politicians to be miserable.
damn right.
I do know of at least a good sushi place in San Jose, so
Nice.
it's not dead to me. All right,
Know of a good
so
hockey team.
oh yeah, the Sharks. That's actually a lot of fun. It's a fun thing to go see. I've been to a few
And they
Sharks
love
games.
their hockey in San Jose, which is
They
weird.
sure do.
Oh yeah.
because nobody, not even when Gretzky was a thing, the LA Kings, when he went there, even then the games looked kind of anemic.
Well-
And they were playing one of the most rabid fan bases in the Toronto Maple Leafs for the final, and even after they won, it was very tame considering other things going on. But this looks like it's not tame.
Well, I'm going to ask a question that may set some people off, and I apologize.
Hmm.
Who's the one that Will Wheaton roots for? Is it Kings?
No clue.
Because
No,
I hate the
idea.
one that he roots for.
It's
That's all
going to
I'm
be
going
some
for.
Southern California thing, though.
My point is, a lot of enough American states, cities,
Oh, yeah.
whatever, they're not the biggest hockey fans to begin with, and California's a problem outside of San Jose are probably like the least most fervent about hockey.
I like that.
Well, I
Lisa.
wanted to talk about Texas briefly, but we don't have Tex Skep here. It's called Tex.
Just nickname.
So it looks
Tock.
like things in Austin are getting kind of interesting. So suddenly street racing, these sort of sideshow things where they people just drive around in circles and behave poorly.
Be
And here they
assholes,
started
yeah.
throwing fireworks at the cops. And that's kind of a line where that's assault. I mean, if somebody threw a real firework at you, you would not think it was anything but assault.
Oh yeah, no.
Considering you can lose an eye or something to that. That's not cool.
It's like, really, you worthless. Like I love car culture for like the stuff they do to cars. I don't like street racing culture in this sense because it is like I've been stuck behind the wall of these assholes trying to get home before in Louisville, and it's just like they are the most presumptive, egotistical pieces of shit. One of them actually tried to punch my car, and I'm like, I'm just trying to go home after working 12 hours, douchebag. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
understand you think you're a hot ass, but you're not. Like it's just
Well,
it's one of those. It's just
Completely abuse the public spaces
not
that
wrong.
they want to. Yeah, the public spaces like the roads that
sorry,
we all, in
Austin's
theory,
probably a pretty cool place in a lot of ways, but they're getting more California nonsense there, which is kind of
Yeah.
the I'm sorry part.
Well, I
Austin
said
is
sorry.
kind of becoming infamous for that because we
Yeah,
had a
'cause-
huge problem with street racing up here. Surprise, surprise! It had a lot to do with certain types of people from certain parts of the world coming to the city. You know what we did? We sent the ETF, which is our version of the SWAT. We sent in helicopters and heavily armed cops to hunt these people down and get them off the fucking road because they are that dangerous. We've seen reports of, suspected street racer crashes into this car or a bunch of cars or whatever, and they're killing kids, they're killing old people, they're killing people. Like
Yeah.
it's not. Like you said, it's very egotistical to be like, no, this is my space and I can do whatever I want. No, motherfucker, you can't. You're killing people.
Oh, okay. Along those lines, this is from somebody who. This is a comment from a mother who lost her daughter in California at a street racing thing.
That they could
you
have
hear that?
consequences when somebody gets killed like that, somebody's family, one of their friends.
They're just young and immature. Most of them are from 17 to 24.
Man, I'm sorry this woman lost
a lot
a
of them
kid.
know from the beginning that it's illegal and reckless and someone can die, but they still do it because they love that excitement.
I mean, yeah, they love that excitement. So the question I wanted to pose to you guys is, how is this different from this?
Well, that's a sanctioned event where they've actually cordoned off the street and are part of it, and everyone goes into it knowing what it is.
It's
and the government
voluntary,
backs it.
exactly.
Well, that's
Yeah.
one aspect of it. It is voluntary, and these people are choosing to do this. Of course, people are also choosing to stand around where cars do unsafe things in sideshows.
But
You know,
it's one of those, but like this is the government does what they can. They know they're not going to stop people from doing it, so they're going to take control of it as best they can. And like street, like people can like race at, because they do it around here to stop the street racing stuff. Is that they do drag races and street racing on actual sanctioned areas to kind of, and do car shows and do where people can do the donuts and all this kind of stuff. And I know those tracks exist in fucking California because we've all seen them from the Fast and the Furious movies.
Well,
so it's like,
but it's it's sort of the adrenaline thing. I think
yeah.
everything's been so sanitized that to some people they think, well, you know, this car that's doing donuts could go out of control and take me out. It could. But they're so excited about being part of something where they're like outside and with a group of people, and it's intoxicating. You know, all these people just sort of cheering thing on. This running with the bulls thing. It's just classy because it's got hundreds of years of history behind it, right? You know, it's sort of like, I don't consider
it classy, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean classy, sort of in quotes, kind of like getting drunk on expensive wine is classy. You know, I'm not an alcoholic if it's $100 a bottle. No, you're still an alcoholic.
It's like there's a line from a Dresden book that was teenagers are old enough to realize that they're not immortal, but too young to deal with it. And that's kind of what this feels like. Not these guys, because a lot of these people are older, but like the 17 to 24-year-old who do that, they are completely aware of in the ether that they air quotes could die, but they don't actually think they're going to die, which is the reason why they do what they're doing, because there's a part of them that is also afraid of dying.
I love this comment.
Yeah, apparently we've set Buster off.
Sorry, Buster.
In a good way.
But again, like
hold on, Buster. If I go to Austin, it's just to do a barbecue crawl, and then I'll leave, and I won't even go to Franklin. I won't even go to Franklin. I'll just go to Lockhart and go to like the old school places, because I'm I'm not fancy that way. All right. Okay.
Your turn, Functional.
Functional, go ahead.
Well, I mean, even if we look at these people down here on the right in the green shirts, like they're behind a barricade. Yes. Is there potential for them to get injured while this is going on? Yes. However, they are not in the event itself. I think that this event is horrid for different reason.
Yes.
For using and abusing animals for nothing but spectacle. I think the bullfights and the running of the bulls is disgusting, but for different reasons. But however, there's still the aspect of consent going on here that a passerby happening upon some street racers or some donut doers or whatever that they are not consenting on, just be by happening upon it. And yeah, sometimes you'll happen upon it, and again, the teenager, the younger person is just going to be like, oh, there's cool shit going on, not thinking of the consequences or the overhead that might be absent there from, I deign to say Big Daddy government, but Big Daddy government to sanction something. Here we have the Indy 500, and it goes on public streets. However, again, they cordon off the streets. They ensure that there are security barriers and all this other shit. Stuff still happens. Accidents still happen. Car parts still go flying for 100, 200 meters into the heart of the city. That's kind of the give and take, the risk you take when you host these events. But again, there's nobody who's going to just walk upon this racetrack and then get hit by a car. I mean, that doesn't happen because they take measures to ensure that there is going to be a safe and a fun event for those involved as much as you can. Nothing is going to ever be 100% safe. But again, the implied consent of being in a public space does not give you license to break the law, driving like a maniac, breaking every known fucking traffic law there is in your municipality for a spectacle.
Yeah. Have you ever been near one of these sideshows, Functional?
Oh yeah.
You can hear it from quite a ways away. It's not like it's going to sneak up on you. I agree with you, except I do feel like most of the people, if you get hurt because you're in the crowd, there is some sort of implied consent there. You know, if the police go there to break it up and they try running away and running from the police and then they run into your car, that's a different situation. But if you're standing around while people, near people doing dangerous things, that kind of feels like implied consent to me.
Okay,
It does, but
it's not the
no
Indy
one ever
500.
says that way.
It's the Honda Indy, whatever.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah, no, there is no implied consent there.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
Like, to boil it down to base terms, there's implied consent when I'm walking down the street that a car is not going to drive up on the sidewalk and take me out. When, you know, barring any sort of horrific series of events that causes that accident, and it being a pure accident, not saying, you know, drinking and driving.
Well, if you go
Purely
to watch the
accidental.
sideshow,
But
to
if
watch the sideshow, that's implied consent is what I'm saying. I'm not talking about innocent bystanders. I'm talking about people who go to the show and even participate in it.
But Harry, I'm trying to boil it down to like basics. Like, then if I decide I'm going to cross the street, jaywalk across the street, there is my implied consent that I understand what I am doing is risky behavior and that I cannot fault anyone else for hitting me if I'm the one acting the fool. That makes sense. So yeah, if somebody is intentionally going to one of these shows, like I hope that woman's daughter was not somebody who went to one of these shows because this guy she liked was driving one of his cars and then she got taken out in the crowd or whatever. I hope that that's not the case, but the chances of that being the case are actually pretty high because the most people who get injured in those street spectacles are the people who go to participate in some fashion.
Yep.
Where, yes, they do have the implied consent. So at that point, I'm kind of like shrugging my shoulders going, I mean, yeah, it's illegal, but you knew what you were doing something illegal, even being a participant, not driving a car.
And I still don't want the poor woman to be dead, but if nothing else, maybe somebody else will learn from her mistake and think twice about maybe step back about 50 feet, enjoy the sideshow from a safe distance, or better yet, do something else. But in terms of people getting hurt and all that sort of stuff, we talked about the train derailment last week. And Donald Trump did this huge PR thing. He sent a bunch of water, like many pallets of bottled water, to the people in Palestine. Is it Palestine or Palestine?
East Palestine.
Ohio. And he also sent, was it Big Mac? No, it was a Big Macs or Whoppers, hamburgers to the
bought
relief
McDonald's
workers.
for the relief workers. Yeah.
Yeah, and he bought McDonald's for the relief workers.
Which
I think this is a damn good. I mean, you don't have to like Trump, but I think this is pretty good campaigning.
But this is why I love Trump, because not only is he going to take this as a PR moment and a self-promotional moment, which, okay, you know, there might be some moral ambiguity there. Fine, we can discuss that at a later point. The point is, and what was I saying last week on the show? Why is nobody doing something right fucking now? And then 2 days later, sure enough, Trump shows up and starts giving relief to the people who live there. And not just the visiting relief workers. He bought McDonald's as much food as he could feasibly, logistically get to people. He was getting them food, and the key thing was bringing the water. And yeah, people in the mainstream corporate media want to label, oh, he brought Trump water. Yeah, about 13% of it was Trump water.
He buys it for his hotels and stuff. And so he has pallets and pallets of it. All he has to do is just send it.
But Harry, most of it wasn't even the Trump water, but this is what the media wants to brand it. He just brought all this Trump water to sell his brand. No, most of it was just in fucking bottled water because they don't have any water. Like we said at the beginning of the show, most of these people didn't have a plan for an emergency like this.
Well, there were two other trucking companies that got involved as well. So Trump did, I think it's like 9 pallets worth of water. And then there was something like 13 total, and these other guys chipped in from one from Florida and another from an adjacent state. So it wasn't just Trump. There were other people who said, hey, let's see, what can we do that's obvious about this? Well, we could just talk about it, or we could load a bunch of water on a truck and just send it, which at least will solve an immediate problem.
I believe Trump paid for the shipping of the water there.
Yeah, he was a big part of it. I mean, however you slice it.
He's the only one, figuratively, because obviously not literally, rolling up his sleeves and bringing some aid to a fucking domestic, horrible event, tragic event that happened when all the people who are in fucking office getting paid to deal with this shit are sitting on their hands, posting for actual photo ops. Look at the fucking Buttke show up thing. It was a complete and utter farce. These people, they are so beyond the pale. I would hope for, and this is just my opinion, not the opinions of Minions or anybody else. I'm not speaking for anybody else, but they need to be lined up against the fucking wall. I am sorry. You do not get away with treating your own constituents this poorly and get away in my book. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like I said before the show even started, there's so few things that get me so worked up. This is one of them. Just completely shitting on your own constituents.
Yep.
These people should be removed from office, barred from ever taking another public service job ever again, and then be investigated into their criminal negligence in such events. And I say it goes from the people at the bottom all the way up to the top, all the way to your current fucking president in his complete and utter disregard for the events that have been happening under his watch, that he goes and fucks off to another country to give them aid and spit in the face of every single fucking American and every other Westerner on the face of this fucking planet. Fuck you. Oh.
Well, the big guy's got, international things to take care of.
Then send the vice president.
He couldn't even send Kamala.
Yeah.
They couldn't even send Buttgeek for over a week.
So, Serenity, can you give me the capsule summary of what you said? You said I showed some footage last week with some busted ass tracks. Can you just give like the really short mea culpa for me to explain how wrong I was to show those?
Oh, it was more of to say how wrong the media was, because that was being played by all media. But the janky tracks from last weekend, one was not a pair of tracks that was actually owned by the company that owned the one in East Palestine, so it wasn't even owned by them. The video was from 2017, and by the time that this has now happened, those tracks have been repaired. So it's weird, like it felt like propaganda, but not propaganda, because it's like, oh look, yeah, we fucked up. Oh, but no, but it's this company's problem. But oh nope, we fucked up because
still funny.
Yeah, I know.
It's
but
still funny.
But it's one of those things, because it's like, because at least I know because my great grandfather used to work for CSX, and I at least know down here that taking care of the train tracks is a big fucking deal. So this way our tracks look like the ones you showed for California, where they're straight, they're clean, and they're good.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's kind of like I was like, I didn't think it got that bad in Ohio, because they have more money than we do.
Yeah, it's too bad I couldn't bring my buddy Steve on for another show. He's a train enthusiast.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that when the really long trains go around in the mountains, so you can see the back of the train on the thing underneath the top of the train, and it's just crazy. He goes and looks at all that sort of stuff. But yeah, trains are pretty cool.
And it just like this whole thing just feels like, and the thing is like, there's no way they can spin this that doesn't make it seem like they're attacking the people who didn't vote for them.
Yep.
I should disavow Green Badger Outdoors, but unfortunately I agree with him.
Yeah, I mean, well, like Serenity was just saying, it's evident. You look at the map, the political map, and yeah, it's hard. Trump didn't have to do this, and he would still win Ohio next election. But he did this because not only does it make him look good politically, but it's the right thing to do. It's the humanitarian thing to do. He has a position of power. He has resources, and he doesn't have to, but he did it anyway. And he got other people on board to help him do it. That's what makes me so mad. It just, I'm trying to breathe here.
Well, let me advance to the next thing. This is super short because I'm just going to mock this. I'm going to mock the fact this article exists, and then we're going to move on. So don't feel like you have to do a lot of commenting. But after this was on MSN, so occasionally I'll fire up a virtual machine and the Windows browser will show up, and it'll give me articles about stupid things. And I thought, my God. After my divorce, I came out as bisexual and then as pansexual, but then I realized labels can't define me. So she got married when she was 18.
Okay, the woman. Okay.
She got married when she was 18. Had some lesbian tendencies, but kept them in check for the good of her family. Got divorced, got her les on, then got her pan on, and then finally found a man. And after a few years, she's decided that she doesn't like those labels anymore, and she's just sort of moving on. Now, none of this is really all that important. The thing is, why is this a news article? Is it just that slow over at the MSN news desk that the adventures of Sally McSweatshirt over here is like something they need to talk about?
I think it's because we're reaching the point now where there's even the people who were using pronouns are realizing they're stupid. So now they have to find a way to be able to change and make themselves different and thus make themselves unique, but still not admit that they were wrong. So now they're going to be like, well, labels don't define me. And they're just pull that shit. That's what they're going to do next. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen next.
Everything's terrible. Okay.
It's perpetuating the message.
So I made some tiny pizzas today. And why did I make tiny pizzas instead of large pizzas? Well, because I didn't have the right peel with me, so I had to make small pizzas. Things happen. I made pizza. It was really good. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking about these tiny pizzas, and I remembered a commercial from 1982. Now, this commercial is like it's very crude by modern standards. I just want to take a few minutes to look at the commercials from 1982, and
all right,
we're going
everybody,
to mock this.
Hold your butts.
See? See, if you're eating pizza for one from Mama Celeste, you're not eating alone in your sad condominium. It's like you're in a community, like you're in a restaurant with real people.
An Italian bistro, yeah.
Yeah.
They still make those pizzas.
Look at that little thing. And I was look at that sad little pizza. Have I just turned into a terrible pizza snob? Because this just looks terrible, and abundanza is not really the word that comes to mind. Let's see.
I'm gonna go with yes, Terry. I'm gonna go with yes.
You think I'm terrible?
You're a pizza snob. No, not terrible. Just you're a pizza snob. That's not.
I think you're a pizza snob, but I think you're justified.
Yeah, I don't think they're not interchangeable. You're just a pizza snob. It's fine.
Okay, here's the Wiktionary definition for abundanza: abundance, richness, wealth, affluence.
It was
now,
the 80s. It had a lot of chemicals.
I don't really feel like this is any of those things. This feels like loneliness, sadness, regret. I think regret would probably be a large part of it.
I feel like they still make Celeste pizzas.
Oh, they do, but they don't have abundanza, and they don't try to sell it as like lonely meal pizza either. Just make a small pizza and leave the whole how many people are eating it thing out. Oh
God. Oh no, I've seen what it looks like when it's out of the box. Oh, where'd the picture go? Don't do this to me, internet. Give me the picture. You showed me the picture of the sad, sad little pizza. Where's the sad, sad little pizza? I don't give a shit about the video game.
It's also
the color sucks. Yeah, it does. It does suck. That's what 1982 looked like. Everything was all washed out, and it's sad. But yeah, I was looking at this. Let me kill the sound because it's just noisy. This. Oh God, no. You want to see what these sad little pizzas look like? Please.
You want to see? Hold on.
Please.
I'm getting there. Hold on. I'm gonna have to zoom in a little bit, but I'm sharing my screen. That's what they look like.
Wow, that is tiny.
And the bad sheet, and there's gigantic holes everywhere. It's just the fuck is this shit?
I'm still learning how to make pizza, but mine was better than that. Just gonna go out of
of course, because you made it.
Yeah.
If you want to be a lazy fuck and make pizza, get a piece of naan bread, get some pasta sauce, and get some good cheese and just put it on that bitch. Takes less time than the frozen pizza, and it tastes better.
You know, though, the what was I trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
$1.22 at Walmart? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're cheap. I think these are cheaper than the Totinos.
So here's the weird thing, though. Because of the jingle, I, to this day, decades later, am making tiny pizzas and remembering this damn commercial. That's how effective this ad was. Abundanza, pizza for one. I'm making, of course, I made 5 of them, but whatever. You know, I put most of them in the freezer, thankfully. But the point is that the jingle, the hook in the commercial, even though it's primitive by today's standards, was enough to make me decades later remember this crappy pizza that I don't want to eat. But anyway, but be that as it may.
I love this. Oh,
all right.
It's always been a
Richard Head is
problem.
asking if pineapple was involved.
Oh God, no.
It's always been a problem for the food prep industry to make homemade meals like this that you can nuke or stick in the oven, whatever. And that's always been one issue for them, to make something good tasting. That's their primary goal. The nutrition comes second, if at all, because it has to be, it has to, last, and it has to be frozen. And and it's funny that back then these things used to be a good, cheap alternative to ordering a pizza because they were so cheap. Today, pizza, but the fact that they're so, let me rewind just a second, but because they're so small, comparatively, for the volume of food that you would get, would be about the same cost as just ordering a medium or large one-topping pizza from your local delivery place, or picking it up, right?
This is the book that I use to make pizza. This is the book that I'm currently working out of. So yes, I am a little fancy.
Harry the Snob.
What? What's wrong with having standards?
Pizza snob, pizza snob, pizza snob.
Anyway, shall we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a thing that everybody's probably heard about. Roald Dahl, I hate saying that name because it just feels like I should be saying Ronald.
Yeah.
But Roald Dahl, James and the Giant Peach, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka, whatever you want to call it.
The Twits,
all him.
The Twits, Witches, all that kind of stuff.
Super prolific children's author from the 20th century. And
really good.
Guy who definitely, when I was a kid, made me happy a lot. I mean, I really enjoyed the books.
I want a bean feast.
But they've decided, they meaning a group of, what do they call these? The sensitivity readers?
Sensitivity advisors.
Sensitivity advisors have come along and decided that, what would make this so much better? We should just change it all. So they have a whole series of changes that they've thought about. Like Puffin, the publisher, essentially tasked these sensitivity readers with morally improving his stories so that no child will ever feel affronted by their fruity, judgmental language. Some of the changes are crazy. Augustus Gloop in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is no longer fat, he's enormous. Auntie Sponge in James and the Giant Peach is no longer terrifically fat and tremendously flabby. She's just a nasty old brute who deserves to be squashed by fruit. Okay, well, at least it rhymes, I guess. What? Yeah. Mrs. Twit in the Twits isn't ugly and beastly anymore. She's just beastly. And it goes on and on and on. Gender neutral Oompa Loompas and just, it was terrible.
Like chambermaid to like housekeeper, I think. And they changed, like they can't call Trunchbull horse-faced anymore. They can just, like, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, I mean, one, you're a parent, you can decide whether your child reads the book if you're that hurt by it. But if you're that hurt by it, you're an idiot, because I can tell you right now, kids come up with worse shit.
Well, did you ever take like an academic class where you had to read a lot of Shakespeare?
No, but I did. I mean, the closest thing was a regular English class, and she had a hard on for Shakespeare, which I read it anyway. But yeah.
Okay. Well, you read Shakespeare, and the language is of a time and place. Yeah. And if you were to suddenly just change it around, it really doesn't work. Now, if you look at opera like Wagner,
I disagree entirely.
Okay, well, let me
Look at
make my
West
point
Side
really quickly, and then I'll hand it to you. So, if you look at things like a lot of, gosh, no, not what I say, Wagner,
Yeah.
and some Shakespeare actually does work really well. There was a version of Coriolanus that was modernized, and it held up just fine, but they kept the language intact, even in the modern setting. So I think there's some things you can sort of change, but West Side Story is decidedly different from Romeo and Juliet functional.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
What was the one with Leonardo DiCaprio and
That was Baz Luhrmann's retelling of Romeo and Juliet.
yeah, what was it called?
Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, it was just called Romeo and Juliet? See,
That's
an example of them keeping the language of the time and putting it in a modern setting. It was complete and utter trash. I don't think you can discount
I loved it.
West Side Story, because even though they transformed every aspect, even the medium, they turned it into a musical. I don't think that discounts using the same story, the same characters, to tell those stories in a more modern way. Again, I can think of a couple of movies and series that are direct retellings of things like Twelfth Night.
There's a lot of things.
Something rotten in Denmark. What the hell was that? What's the name of the book?
Shows or something like that?
No, it's what's his name? The prince.
That answers my question.
But they're not just changing the
Hamlet,
scenery; they're changing.
assassin.
They're changing the meaning of things. They're fundamentally changing the meaning of stuff.
Yes,
And-
but that I mean,
Thank you, everyone who said Hamlet. Hamlet assassin.
with Dahl, it's a completely different thing. And yes, I do empathize with him, with the writer of this column, calling it a cultural vandalism. My point is, you can't. How can I phrase this? Just stop paying attention to this shit. If you don't buy the books, do you think that these fucking you had a name for the people who
Sensitivity
do this
instructors.
Sensitivity instructors. Do you think they're going to buy the books? No fucking way. So if we don't buy the books, if we don't watch the TV shows, we don't watch the movies, who cares if they make the entire cast trannies or use the entire reword everything in the book and rename it? Just stop caring, stop watching, and you know what? This stuff goes away. I can't hammer that message out to the good people of our society still left enough, because if you don't give them any sort of air to make to not give them the rope that they will eventually hoist themselves on their own petard with, then you're just going to be fighting an uphill battle, and there's no point bitching about them rewriting Roald Dahl. Okay, and is that going to change the book? Hold on, is that going to change the words in the copies of the Witches and Charlie and Chocolate Factory series that I have in my bookshelf? No, it's not going to change that, and I can always go to that. The only reason that this is such a huge explosive topic, again with thing 1 and thing 2, Dr. Seuss. Same thing happened with the Dr. Seuss. They wanted to change things around. It's not going to change the books on my shelf. However, me not buying them, being a huge Roald Dahl fan, might hit them where it hurts, and might hit the publisher and the whoever controls his legacy, probably his family or whatever, going, oh, we fucked up. Okay. And I'm not going to harp on them for doing something stupid, because that's the great thing about Western culture, is we allow people to do stupid business ventures. And if they or it doesn't even have to be stupid, but what would be considered new and wild and crazy ventures is to let them do them. And either they're going to succeed or fail on their own merits. Again, I have to draw a comparison to one of the biggest stories of, like, Jeff Bezos. Love him or hate him, he went from basically nothing to selling books to now being one of the most powerful consumer goods provider in the world. Sorry, I'm done.
Well, the thing is that the loud outcry of this is actually forced Puffin to go, okay, we'll print both, and that's basically what they're doing. And that's basically what the outcry has done for the most part.
Because
at this
they
point.
know it was a stupid idea to begin with, and they were giving it a shot. Now that they're going to print both books, they're like, okay, we know it's going to fail, so we don't want to put all our ducks in one basket. I know that's conflating two different.
We get what you're trying to go for.
Yeah.
You're good.
but they're still going to like, and they will see in the sales, they'll be like, oh well, the original book sold just as well as it always did, and the other one sold like 3 copies, so I guess we know never to do this again. I understand what you're saying. There is a good aspect of pushing back. Obviously, I'm not saying shut up about it. I'm just saying, like the ultimate, at the end of the day, the ultimate power you have, and this is me picking up my wallet, is through this thing. Your wallet controls everything these corporations do.
But functional, if everybody had done what you suggested, there would have been no outcry, and there would not be the parallel editions. So I think a little bit of complaining is fine, but getting your fainting couch out and just
that's
getting the vapors over it, I think is kind of stupid. Now, I have to remind me that I said this when we come back and talk about the Chronicles of Amber in a week or two.
Well, it depends on what the next story is, because I have a complete opposite.
Yeah, things that Harry actually cares about as opposed to things Harry doesn't care about. Like, here's the thing I don't care about. Do you guys care about this? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sequel kills off original heroes, officially replaces them with female turtles. If you leave too many male turtles alone, doesn't one of them just spontaneously turn female anyway?
That's
frogs.
Actually, no, reptiles.
I did that on purpose.
I know
they went full praying mantis on this whole relationship story where they just like sliced off their heads and
yes and no. The headline is completely and utterly fake, and I'll leave it to Serenity to start off with it, because more so than anything, the article pissed me off, not the subject.
Yeah. Well, it's like one, it's the original creator of Turtles is the one doing this. 2, it's
one of the two, Kevin Eastman.
Yeah. 2, Michelangelo. Is it Michelangelo? Yeah, Michelangelo is the only one who's left alive, and it's a Last Ronin kind of thing where he's older, his brothers are dead, and he's finding others. And I think only 2 of them are female that he finds, because there is another female turtle. If people know the old turtle stuff, which gigantic turtle nerd, so ignore my ass. Her name was Venus de Milo. Yes. And she wore light blue. But it's the article. It's trying to make this seem like it's a TV series or a movie when it's just a comic. And while there are comics that had female turtles that did very well, like I think one of them had 5 reprintings. Reprintings in the comic world doesn't guarantee that it was well received, because sometimes they'll just do reprintings to like just to like basically end out a contract. Yeah, Kevin Eastman's a weird guy, Duck Dog. I agree.
Yeah, John Laird is actually the guy who kept Eastman's weirdness in check all throughout the 80s and 90s when they first started printing Turtle. Which, because even though Eastman is a creative genius, I will still give him that. He is a creative genius.
Yes.
His brain, though, does not work like most people's brains. And sometimes weird ideas get into these creative types' heads. They need somebody to go hold the reins and go, whoa, let's back up. Let's think about this. Because you can see in those early comics, his genius did push limits of the time of what you can present in comic books. People forget. People who watched the TV show in the 90s and late aughts, they forget the comic book was a black and white, almost like dark, gritty, very noir feel to it. It was very crazy at times. It was very dark at times. It was not for children.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot due to Eastman's influence, because that's his creative je ne sais quoi. Like, and Laird was just really good at putting those fragments together into a cohesive story. Having Laird not in the picture right now might cause some problems. That's why I first had some sort of like unsuredness, Serenity, with what's going on. But the fact that the comic has actually been pretty good so far with the Last Ronin series, and they want to say this is the problem I had with the article, is that they're saying that this is what's going to happen with your big screen Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the sky is falling, and it's like, it's not.
It's clickbait. It's massive clickbait because they want the pissed off nerds,
because they're riding the train of the. Oh God, that
That's what
looks
Venus
so
looked
awful.
like in the live action. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because you forget that Hollywood, Michael Bay or whoever did, has already ruined the Ninja Turtles. They've already been ruined. There's only way to go up.
Only way to go is up.
Go is up right now for the property outside of the comic book. Again, the comic book is like, look at that picture of Michelangelo as the Ronin. He looks so cool.
Up one more.
What really up one more? Yeah,
right there.
What makes the comic so incredibly good is the fact that Michelangelo was, he's the party dude. Even in the comic books, he was a little bit more free-spirited, kind of plays by his own rules kind of guy, but was always the jovial. In this, because his brothers got slaughtered, he had to become all of them. He had to become part Donnie, part Leo, part Raph, part himself to be that singular character that's not going to let this fight against the darkness go. And he gets dark. You see this transition, and it as a lifelong Turtles fan, like, it breaks my heart to see Mikey go from Mikey to the Ronin. It is dark. It is beautiful. Now, should they go that route in the movies, I could see them taking it an entirely different route, that diversity, inclusion, and equity kind of route, and completely fuck it up. But they could never put the Ronin story to screen without people reading that, oh my God, what are you creating for kids? It's like, no, it's not for kids. This is John Wick for Turtles fans. Anything else to add, Serenity? Because I think my headset died?
I think she left.
Oh,
to
no,
go take
people
care
are
of
just
the
quiet.
dogs.
I like turtles.
Got an awesome face paint job. What do you think?
I like turtles.
Young Harry never gets old.
Yeah, it's not Young Harry. Okay, so just rounding out this set, Warner Brothers announces new Lord of the Rings movies are coming. Aren't they running out of source material at this point?
No, not at all.
No?
This is the problem that people had with the Lord of the Rings TV show, is that Tolkien wrote manuscripts, endless fucking manuscripts on his world that never saw the light of day in his published works. But he built everything meticulously. That's what's so great about people like Tolkien, like Eastman, is that they build all this stuff. However, because Amazon bought the rights to it all, what they want to do is they want to redo the telling of the Lord of the Rings, like the proper story of the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King. They want to retell that, and they also want to use that as the flagship jumping off point to creating all these sorts of spin-offs. Serenity mentioned something before the show about, like, we're going to go to the Easterlands and start looking at what, the story about some brown characters, because that's where in Middle Earth, that's where the brown folks come from. That's where, the people that we would look at today and be like, oh, well, they're black, or brown. That's where they would come from in Tolkien's world. The northeast, the northwest is where, the more Nordic, Western European looking humans come from. East is where the more brown, dark skinned people come from. Again, because realistically, they would be in those hotter climates given the melanin count of their skin and blah, 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 blah. There was all reasoning behind it. And he created these worlds so that you could, as a modern day author who had license to produce something based in his world, could say, okay, yes, I'm going to create this story of this series of events of stuff that happens in this part of the world that was never even mentioned in the core books. And you could do something great. And I mean, there's a part of me that wants it to be great as a Tolkien fan, but knowing what I know about what Amazon and the people who are probably going to be running this new, what would we call it, the Rings, Lord of the Rings universe, or whatever, cinematic universe, or whatever they want to call it. I know they're going to fuck it up with just how badly they fucked up Rings of Power. They had all this source material and they spat in its face.
Well, it's like we just don't trust anybody to make any movie at all in modern times because it's all crap. And then when they decide to make a movie about something that's dear to people because it's got history, then it's just like, oh, double crap.
Yeah, it's a brand without content behind it, without creativity behind it. It's just a name. It's them slapping a label on a shitty TV show or movie with the Lord of the Rings brand on it, and it's going to sell. I mean, you kind of, I hate to say this because Serenity is probably going to hate me for it, but they did the same thing with the Hogwarts Legacy game. It's just basically slapping that label of this is Harry Potter universe when it's, you know, a middling okay game, you know.
Star Trek 4, The Search for Whales. Star Trek 5, The Search for God. Star Trek 6, The Search for More Money. You know, I mean,
entirely assassin. They are.
You've got a franchise. They're gonna milk it for all it's worth.
Yeah,
That's just capitalism.
And but it's
just do a good job. Don't suck.
This postmodernist Marxism, where they're using it as the vessel to get people who would never pay attention to the message, to infiltrate them and get them on board with the message, even though they're going to take one look at it and go, "This is shit."
Well, you know, looking back at the doll story for a moment, imagine, if you will, they make some woke nightmare of a Tolkien thing. You can always go back to the books. You can go to the bookstore, you can buy the books, you read them, and go, this is better. Because as always, as nearly always, the book is better than the movie. But what happens when somebody goes to see the movie and then they go to look at the books and find that the books have been changed because the people who are making the movie want the books to reflect it. And so they just change it all because, you know, don't be a whiny baby and complain when they change the stuff. I mean, I agree with your position, but at the same time, I'm not really a big fan of the history eraser machine. No, I don't want them Fahrenheit 451ing everything. It can't just be the books on your bookshelf. I want them to also not touch the other ones. And if they're going to Bowdlerize them, just put an asterisk next to it. That's fine. You can make the children's Bible where you've got the dinosaurs getting on the ark and it's all, you know, it's got the pictures and stuff. But I really don't like them changing the original thing without clearly labeling that it's changed.
I want to agree with you, but things are changed all the time in literature. Again, we can bring up the Shakespeare subject and be like, well, they have not modernized, but they've brought it into more understandable English so that it's more easily digestible by preteens and teens.
Yeah, but it's clearly marked as such. That's all I really ask.
Some of them are, yeah.
Yeah, don't pretend that it's something that it isn't.
Yeah, and putting something like this is updated or new or whatever on the cover would be something that I would be for. I would be happy with. Yeah. I never read the book.
It does happen occasionally, and it's so refreshing when it does. I mean, isn't it just like this pleasant surprise? You go, well, the book sucked, and then suddenly somebody makes a movie and go, wow, this is actually better. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen.
I actually thought that with Princess Bride and the movie Holes as well. Yeah.
There you go. The movie Holes?
Yeah.
What's the movie Holes?
Disney movie Holes came out in 2003. Shia LaBeouf.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's based off of a book. But yeah, the book was, in my opinion, not as good as the movie. So
yeah, the Star Trek TUES episode was it Requiem for Methuselah? I think maybe I'm getting the titles wrong, but it's the Flint episode where the guy basically builds an android daughter type thing. That's basically the Tempest, just in space with Vulcans. Yeah.
Mm.
So I still chasing
really
dogs
hope,
around, right?
Probably. I really hope that given the current climate of something like Star Wars or the MCU, Marvel being owned by Disney, they are, I wouldn't say hemorrhaging, but the amount of negative press, negative comments, and the fact that they're not meeting their projected revenues is really going to change a lot of things in the next 8 to 10 years. Mark my words, that people like Disney are going to have to sell Marvel because they fucked it up so bad. Either that, or they get somebody like a Jon Favreau back in, apologize profusely, and be like, "It's yours. It's all yours. Make us money." And he will, because he'll put his heart and soul into it. He'll get the right people involved. He'll make good stories. He'll start at the bottom and make good stories. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to click on this next thing, but since I did,
Yeah, I thought you wanted to move on.
no, well, I did at some point, but I didn't need to just yet. However, since we're course committed, yes, some idiot actually bought a new in-box 2007 iPhone for $63,000. Why?
Is that like an iPhone 1?
Yeah,
Collector's
I mean,
item. I don't know.
I'm sure I can find you a bunch of them that aren't new in the box, but I mean, what's the point of buying something like this? I mean, I guess it's a collectible. And it's rare because it's shrink wrapped. Not that it's all that hard to shrink wrap something after it's been opened, but
The cult of Jobs is pretty strong and insane, dude. If you know anybody who is a complete Apple nut job fanboy or girl, I can see that they are something special. I'm not talking about the average iPhone or iPad or iMac user or whatever. Use what works for you, but the people who are so fervently fans of Apple brand, it's kind of insane.
I hear something going on outside. I need to go check on it. Can you and Geodes entertain each other for a moment?
Sure.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously the tech is going to be a little outdated, right, Geo? Like most modern apps probably won't be able to run very well on it. So I think it's probably just a collector's item, right? Like people buy super rare Funko Pops, or Yeezy shoes in 20 years are going to be massive collector's items that we'll see the same story. We'll see, this part of discontinued Yeezys that sold 50 pairs worldwide now went for auction for $163,000. Like people like their rarities, and with something, I could even see that happening with something like the books.
Yeah.
Like if something, God forbid, they did change Charlie and the Chocolate Factory so drastically and didn't print the original copies, and they kept printing these for years, and people were like, what is this shit? I don't like this. I want the original pressing of the book with all the original wording from Roald Dahl himself. Those would probably become, collector's items that people would pay a mint for. As somebody who plays Warhammer, plays video games, like we know that like a collector's edition of like Destiny 1 from 15 years ago today would probably easily go for a couple G's. Just because, I mean, it's not going to be anything special. You're not going to be able to play the game because Destiny 1 is kind of discontinued. It's not supported, but it's the fact that you have this product that has some sort of inherent intrinsic nostalgia for, even though it's not that long of a nostalgia, but a longing for that game. I could definitely see people doing this kind of stuff. It's weird. I don't do it. I get it. Like
it's one of those things where it's like I could see maybe the operating system being kind of valuable just for like, you kind of get legacy software, stuff like that. You kind of see how code was. The hardware itself, I'm kind of curious, like what would be valuable is my big thing. Because I'm just kind of like, the hardware is newer now on newer devices. That's my big thing.
Well,
so.
again, as you know, guys who like their toys, we know that if it's an original, whatever, in this case, iPhone, in the plastic wrap, in the box, in the plastic wrap, never been unsealed.
Mhm.
For some reason, there's this mystique. There's this air of finality. It's like a Schrodinger's box, you know? You could open that box and find that the phone is completely bricked. The battery was a dud, or just because it's been sitting for so long, the phone no longer works, whatever. It doesn't matter. But you don't know that because immediately opening up that plastic wrap would reduce the price.
Mhm.
And it's such a weird phenomenon to me, because I could understand if I were to pay, you know, 63 grand or whatever for, let's say, a hand forged 2000 fold katana from this time frame in the like 1400s or whatever. Like, I can understand that, because not only is that a piece of art, it's a piece of hardware, it's a piece of history. But at the end of the day, if the zombie apocalypse happens, yes, I could take that motherfucker out on the street and start cutting down some zombies. You know what I mean? It's still functional. It still has a purpose.
Yeah.
And even on top of that, it does actually have that air of mystique behind it, because it is a part of history. This person who created this sword, even if it was 5, 6, 7 generations ago, it's not that long ago, but even then, there's something to be said about the craftsmanship that we, as ironically, moving to such a hyper specialized but mechanized production of goods and services, we still look at those handcrafted things as having a higher standard of value intrinsic to the thing. Not that iPhones have any fucking handcrafted, and, you know, these are all, like the assassin said, you know, slave labor in fucking Indonesia and China and shit. And even that, getting the materials is slave labor, mining cobalt in southern Africa and stuff. Like, it's just, to me, it's more of a, hey, look, we found a noose from like the beginning of the United States, where you know, 300 slaves were hung from this tree or something. You know, it's something stupid like that. Like, something that if they were to put those two pieces side by side, they'd be like, oh, this is kind of cool, I want that. And they'd look at the other piece of history and be like, oh no, I don't want that. That should be destroyed. It's a part of evil history. Well, what's the difference?
Mhm.
One's a part of one slave trade, one's a part of another slave trade. And I think we're getting a little off the rails, but
Yeah.
very.
Well, I think we may have to get off the rails a little bit, because Harry seems to be having technical issues, so he may have to restart his system. So
Okay.
bear with us.
I think I'm back.
Okay, there we go.
there it
Hell
is.
yeah.
It's suboptimal, but I'm
Still
back.
fine.
Did Fong Fong decide to make an attack?
Oh yeah, something like that. No, I think I need to restart my system. You kids have a good time. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Put us on the
Everyone?
next story.
Oh, let's see. What next
we have
story?
another
Well, it won't
story?
hold up after I leave.
Yeah.
Oh, can you? I don't know.
Mm.
Never mind. We'll talk.
I'll
Yeah,
be right
we'll
back.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'm Linda
right.
Richmond,
Bye.
Well,
and the Harry channel is neither Harry nor a channel. Please discuss amongst yourself. I'm feeling a little verklempt. I need a cup of tea.
It's bad when Harry has to restart his system because it's going to take like 5 minutes.
Yep.
Considering how much it is, how much stuff is involved, is what I mean.
yeah.
Oh,
But-
yeah. I always forget he doesn't use a Windows system because he's not a gamer.
Nope. Let me see here. Let's go to chat. Lion King is Hamlet for Rugrats, yes. That's from Duck Dog. Okay, Cullen Brunahan. Movie adaptations of porn are generally better than the book. Well, I'll take your word on that one there, bud.
I mean, he's not wrong, because the
Pirates one was hilarious.
Pirates was so good because they actually put story into their porn, and that was kind of like changed the
And plus,
industry.
it's the actual ship. It's the actual ship too, I think, from the first
they
Pirates.
they bought a lot of the costuming, yeah.
Yeah.
But the
Oh.
X-Men, porn version
Haven't seen that one.
had better costuming and better character portrayals than the actual fucking blockbuster Hollywood movies.
Well, okay.
Wolverine looked like Wolverine, even though he had his dick out. And Jean Grey and Iceman, they all look like their characters and talked like their characters did in the comic books.
That's how you know porn studio heads are all comic book nerds.
We can smell our own.
Holes was kind of boring. Once again, that's Duck Dog. I liked Holes, but I understand where you're coming from. Giggity. Cannibalistic Wizard, you could get a full-size love doll for every day of the month for less than that phone. Very true. I don't know it. No, I'm not going to say it. Assassin went on about slave labor a lot, so we're just gonna an eye sheep.
Excuse me. No, Assassin, they didn't. And it's actually kind of funny because in the Hollywood movies, he was kind of a Don. Well, not Don Juan, but he was trying to be a Don Juan in the body of a teenager, a gawky teenager.
Well, it also has the problem of the guy who played was just not. He just didn't have the suaveness to him to play that type of character.
But I like that because that was a good portrayal of early Bobby Drake in the.
Oh
comic.
yeah,
he was
the
weird
whole
and awkward, and he grew. Excuse me.
His functional slowly dies.
He grew into being kind of like that 20-something-year-old. I don't want to say player, but he knew how to talk to women.
Yeah.
He knew how to suss out whether or not this woman was worth his time. And when he pursued somebody like Kitty Pryde, he made it because it was somebody he had a camaraderie with. He was invested in, and they meshed, and he knew how to talk her up into being into kind of, tryst or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, like Assassin, we're not talking about the comic book bullshit that came later. We're talking about just the movies. The movies, they did not do that. And that, like,
and the later comic book stuff is all bullshit anyway. So.
Because it's one of those. It's like it's bad when the ones who are like, one of the characters is gay is finally starting to realize, oh wait, no, that was an R word. Oh, and then they all just back off real quick. Like they start backing up into the corner, going la 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 la. It's kind of like the people who talk up the Harley Quinn Poison Ivy show right now. It's like, guys, I hate to break it to you, but in the original comic book, Poison Ivy was just as bad as Joker. Like she was not this healthy lesbian relationship. She was a passive aggressive femme fatale who was bisexual, not a lesbian, because she went for anybody. And I don't use pansexual because we're not fucking robots yet.
And I would knock my headset off. I would still maintain that most, if not all, women are a bit bisexual because women are beautiful creatures, and men kind of aren't. We're just functional beings to make women more beautiful.
I see. That's the thing. That's how I know I'm straight because I can acknowledge the fact that women are attractive, but they do nothing for me. I find men beautiful. So it's one of those things where it's kind of like does nothing for me. Now, I do agree that there are statistically a lot more women who are that spectrum of it. But no, I'm like, nah. I can
not to get
that.
too much into, because I don't want to talk about people when they're not here, but
I agree with Cannibalistic Wizard.
Lots of women I've dated, including my now wife, have been. We can one of the key criteria to being partnered with this woman is the fact that we can both sit there, have a cup of coffee on a terrace somewhere, and check out the girls as they walk by, and be like, "Oh wow." She'll be like, "Wow, look at that chick's badonkadonk. That is insane." I'll be like, "Yeah, okay, that's big for me." But check out, isn't her look at her facial features, her hair. She's so she's gorgeous. She'd be like, "Yeah, that's fucking. I would slam that." And most of it's obviously talk, but you wouldn't get the same kind of thing. Like when I hang out with my gay friends, male gay friends, and they're talking about dudes, I don't want to even hear it. Like that's how that's the kind of dynamic I'm saying is very different. Serenity is like
Yeah.
one is very different than the other. Where you can sit there and just comfortably be like, oh wow, she's gorgeous. And you personally might be like focusing more on how that person's dress fits them very well.
Yeah.
Or their shoe, but there's like I could look at a dude in a nice pressed 3-piece suit and nice shoes and be like, yeah, okay, he looks all right, whatever, and just not care. And it's not a I guess bisexual is the wrong word, because to be blank sexual about something, you have to have experience with that type of. So
that's the reason why I don't believe half these TikToker people, because I'm like, sweetheart, no.
It's more
anything.
Curiosity or something.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Everything just stopped. So the thing that I heard outside was a skunk and a cat deciding to mix it up. Thankfully, not my problem. Not my problem.
It will be when the smell happens.
No, they
or
decided
when they start crossbreeding and having skunk cats in your neighborhood.
Stinky cats.
Dude, it's California. Anything could fucking happen at this point.
Just don't tell them the scat.
Well, let's see.
But
We're at
change.
126.
You guys realize we're like 2 months away from episode 2000?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's a little crazy. So let's see. Where are we supposed to be? Do I care about this story? We need to get things back
What
on
is this?
track here.
$10 million to fund lavish Vegas lifestyle. Who's
Yeah,
OC?
Yeah. So this
Orange County.
attorney, here, we'll just keep the sound sort of down here. So this was a thing. Let's see, Orange County. So it's an attorney, and she basically has stolen about $10 million from her clients so that she can go live.
Oh, it's a woman, of course.
Yeah. Women...
She looks like Kim Kardashian. She tried to be Kim Kardashian. That's
yeah,
my
she's
issue.
trying
Like,
to be
bitch.
something. So this is one of the people that she ripped off, befriends
Oh,
them.
yeah,
I mean,
she's definitely trying to be Kim Kardashian.
yeah.
3-day loan, $10,000.
So she's terrible. We'll go ahead and...
Yumiko?
Has always been into the luxury life. Very well.
Yeah. If I see a woman like that,
That's red flag.
yeah. I don't think that's the attorney that I'm looking for. No.
Yeah, really.
All right, moving on. Let's see.
Yeah, but she probably buttered her up with. Never mind.
Well, down in L.A., a man ran over, killed while allegedly trying to steal a catalytic converter. So what happened was down in L.A., there was a woman. She was driving and she got sleepy and did the responsible thing and pulled over to take a nap. Well, somebody decided, hey, this car's not moving. That means I should steal the catalytic converter from it. And she woke up and turned this guy into a human speed bump.
Good. Deserved it.
Yes.
Stop trying to steal catalytic converters, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, because you're doing, you're making, how much money do you think they get from the metal recycling people? What, like $50 or something, maybe 100, and they end up doing $1,500 worth of damage to somebody's car so that they can make almost no money. Screw these people.
And it's 4 people.
Yeah.
They are worth between $300 to $1,500.
Yeah, but repairing it is yeah, what they get in salvage is
what they're gonna get
huge.
Is pennies. And
yeah,
his accomplices, another man and 2 women.
Mm-hmm.
That's 4 people. It's so dumb.
It is dumb. I just want to go full vigilante justice on these people. Minions of the Zoo disavows vigilante justice. Okay, moving on.
Developing news, Harvey Weinstein has been sentenced in a Los Angeles courtroom to 16 years for rape convictions.
Nothing like
Good.
that, dumbass.
Yeah. Well, yeah. First of all, mask enthusiast Harvey Weinstein. That's not how you do that. But yeah, he got 16 years for his rape cases.
Good.
Good for him. Wasn't he also sentenced to 20 years for something else?
Probably.
What wasn't he sentenced for? That's the
Well, here's how you look really sad. You go full Cosby with the cane and stuff. So he's got the walker and the whole deal. It's like, you can't send me to prison. Well, sure we can. Have a good time. All right.
Looks like it was. Okay, so he was sentenced to 16 additional years in LA prison, bringing the 70-year-old's full sentence to 39 years.
Oh, 39 years.
Because the other 23 years was from a previous sexual misconduct trial.
Yeah, the whole Me Too thing has caused so much damage, and it's not just to men; it's also to women.
yeah.
Do you recall
100%.
when the whole Me Too thing started up? All these women saying, "I can't get a high-powered man to mentor me in my profession, because no man is dumb enough to be in a room like that in a situation where some accusation could come up that he can't defend himself against."
Yeah.
It isn't just men that got set back by this asshole and his predatory BS. It's also a lot of women that got set back.
Well, it's the whole fact of, and this is the other reason. Like we're gonna sidestep to unions just real quick. Give me a minute. But
yeah, you have quite the hate boner about unions.
Oh,
I love it.
I hate.
I love it.
Fucking hate unions. But it's like, okay, so let me get this straight. Harvey Weinstein did this. It was an open secret in Hollywood. You have the Screen Actors Guild to protect actors who have the ability, via the contract that they have with the Producers Guild and the Writers Guild and the Directors Guild, to go after individuals if they screw over one of your actors. Everybody knew about it. You did nothing.
Yep. It was an open secret.
Why does everyone still want to be part of the Screen Actors Guild? Like, it's a mob. It's the mob. That's all it is. And that's the thing that makes me mad. It's like all these actresses wearing the Time's Up pin and wearing black dresses. You're still at the SAG Awards, you stupid bitch.
It's not like back when Reagan was in charge of the Screen Actors Guild.
And ultimately, the reason why I don't support or I don't hot take, I don't think that Weinstein did much of anything wrong that has been proven. It was all consensual.
Well, this sexual assault thing is not consensual.
This one was actually recorded in time, and
there's consensual stuff, and then there's this. These are allegations of him. You know,
Jennifer Lawrence's was consensual. Jennifer Lawrence's was consensual.
Which I don't. There's the thing about the whole Weinstein sphere of news is which one, which sexual assault is this one referring to? Because there have been no less than, I think it was 43 or 44 women directly accusing him, and only 3, 4 made it to trial. Yep. I wonder why that is. And even then, I don't know this one, obviously, if they had proof, but even then, there were at least 2 I know of that there was no proof, but he was still convicted and held guilty. It's the sign of the times when the culture is based on the rule of law, and the rule of law is now being thrown out, not for what you can prove, but what you can prove you didn't do. And that's not how these things are supposed to work.
Well, there was one woman who came out as soon as it happened to her, and was the one who started.
Okay. Then I should read up on that, and I should inform myself about what happened there, because obviously I'm missing a piece of the puzzle. But a lot of the things that I've seen surrounding him have not been proven.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of actresses who pulled a lot of bullshit. Like, I think Salma Hayek was one of them. She was like, he held my movie hostage. It's like, you're married to a billionaire, you stupid bitch. You could have done something. Don't.
Have you been following the Marilyn Manson thing?
Oh yeah, no, he got exonerated, I think, because
one of the accusers said that recanted everything.
Yeah, which right on.
And then they're saying that Evan Rachel Wood tried to sort of manipulate the situation, saying just because you don't remember something doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah, she's a worthless bitch who needs to burn. But it's like Rose McGowan got paid off, which was her own stupid fault for the Weinstein thing. She should have never taken the goddamn money. But hindsight 2020, I guess. I don't know.
Rose McGowan, also notorious hoe.
Well, yeah, but she also settled out of court with him though, and took money from him, which is the reason why she was able to keep living the lifestyle of which she is accustomed, because she's not getting the acting jobs. And
good. I think that this Evan Rachel Wood person and Ashley Morgan Smithline should both be held accountable.
Yep, 100%
of the law.
Yeah, false accusations are just no.
I think that they should be false allegations of this gravity should be treated as if the opposite happened, as if now this person is the victim, not the accused, and you are the accused. The gravity, the level of law that should be applied should be equal.
Yeah, no, 110%.
Most of those false allegations have to be settled in civil court.
Yep.
There's no jurisprudence precedence for something that
Yeah.
big. I think
Libel
it
and
should-
slander are not criminal; they're civil
Yeah,
things.
which
But
is the
Exactly.
problem.
I have something. I have something for you, which I know we're all going to agree. Well, I think we're all going to agree on, which is
We're gonna
something
find out.
nice. A proposed bill in Florida would ban dogs from hanging their heads out of car windows.
100% agree. 100% agree. 100%
Yeah.
agree.
You do? What if they have goggles on? The little
No, Mike,
the goggles for dogs.
The problem is that there are so many people who I've seen their dogs jump out of the window, and sometimes in a moving car because the dog doesn't understand the moving that is happening.
Yeah.
And that's my issue, is because like, yeah, good owners should be able to allow it to happen, but like, as with everything, we have to go after everybody because of a few dumb fucks.
But
I've
I
seen
think
dogs hurt.
yes,
Sorry,
and so have I. But I think that banning it is the wrong approach. I think that maybe an educational campaign saying, "Hey, this is dangerous, dog owners. You probably shouldn't do it," and then saying to people, "If you allow this to happen and your dog gets injured because of it, we will charge you with animal abuse to the fullest extent of the law." And then that leaves the ball in the dog owner, the individual's court, to say, hey, am I going to take a risk? Or am I going to do something that is more in line with the health and well-being of my family member, my dog? You know.
Sorry, I sneezed.
And I also know that this bill does more than just this.
Well, they also want to make it illegal to declaw cats unless there's a medical reason to do it.
That I agree with.
I
too.
also agree with, because it is a horrible torture to put your cats under.
It's not fair to them. It's like, I understand the cat's going to be inside, and I understand you don't like them scratching up stuff, but then don't get a fucking cat.
Or get what are they called? The kitty covers.
Yeah, the kitty covers.
Little silicone slips they fasten to the cat's claws, and after you have to replace them about once a month because they get worn down and whatever. But it allows them, because anybody who's had a cat knows that most of their balance comes from them extending their claws and retracting them to gain traction, because they've got such small, relative to their body size, contact with any given surface. Even something like hardwood or tile floor, they have to occasionally extend their claws to get traction. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to walk on that, because you got to think these creatures developed to be in grasslands and small growth forests, not on hardwood floors and concrete and whatever.
Well, I like dogs, and this feels like government overreach to me.
It definitely does, but
they're mostly just given the bill states that it's going to be considered a moving violation. But
which good, give them a ticket. At least you're not arresting people for a non-violent offense.
They're not doing that.
I still, just personal opinion, still would have liked to them just say, okay, if it happens, you're going to get a ticket and you're going to be charged with animal abuse, just so you're warned. Because again, it leaves you as the pet owner to realize, is your dog, is this member of your family well trained enough that they're not going to jump out the window, that they're not going to get and are you a responsible enough pet owner to know if you're driving along on the freeway and there's plenty of traffic to roll up your window so he's not going to get clipped by a mirror or something, in a oopsie daisy. But there are, when you're on by yourself or driving up a relatively empty road or a country road, or just cruising around, if you live in a city, cruising around your block, driving like 5-10 kilometers an hour, it's nothing. You're just cruising because you like the feel of it. Your dog likes the feel of it. I don't see that as being a problem.
Wouldn't it be simpler if we just let the owners decide what they want to do about this, rather than the government getting into, well, if it's 5 or 10 miles an hour, then this. And I don't like any part of this, because before you realize it, we're going to be, dogs are going to be required to have like the harnesses that attach to the seat belts and be in cages.
That's what the bill does. The bill would ban Floridians from holding dogs in their lap while driving or transporting their dogs via cars running board, fender, hood, roof, or trunk. Instead, it stipulates dogs and motor vehicles on public roadways must be either secured in an appropriately sized crate, restrained with a harness or pet seatbelt, or, air quotes, under the physical control of a person other than the operator of the motor vehicle.
Well, if the dog is in a pet seatbelt, then they can't jump out the window. And all you're really doing is just being a giant buzzkill to dogs. And dogs did nothing wrong.
I agree they did nothing wrong, but the issue is that those seatbelts don't always hold, because I've seen them almost strangle the dog.
Well, everybody talks about Florida like it's the big free state of Florida where, you know, you can go. It's like, no, it's not.
It's
No,
just
it
what's
never
been
has
in the
been.
news. Yeah.
Yeah, just because DeSantis
also-
is everybody's, a bunch of people's favorites right now doesn't mean that Florida isn't. I mean, because I think he's a crony capitalist, honestly.
Yes, but that is, and I wouldn't take away his fighting the good fight. In the stuff that he is using to propel himself to the national stage, the stuff he's fighting against, it's
like education.
Like, yeah, okay, great. Yeah, like be appropriate education and stuff like that. And against the G word rhymes with brooming, and mutilation rhymes with mutilation. I have no problem with him fighting that fight. You know, all the more power to you. Even if it was communist Cenk Uyghur fighting that fight, I would still be like, okay, at least you're promoting a good message here. Even though everything else, I am, you know, at best case in his DeSantis's case, I'm a little sus. I'm still not entirely convinced, but you know, he's doing some good things, so thumbs up.
Well, I just think that the existing laws cover this situation adequately, and we don't need to nanny state dogs as if they were children. This is just getting ridiculous.
You want more of a nanny state?
Sure.
If you are caught for this violation, which this does not take effect until January 1st, 2024, if this goes through, there's going to be an animal abuse registry.
Oh, God.
Which means there's going to be a registry that would include the offender's legal name and aliases, addresses, date of birth, and a
I
photograph.
might as well just stay in California.
Yeah,
Seriously.
registered abusers would also not be permitted to own, possess, or reside in the same residence with or on the same property as an animal unless authorized to do so by a court order.
You know, I didn't think this was going to be contentious, but this is actually legitimately pissing me off.
Yeah, like that part I have a problem with. Like, if it's actual, like, hardcore abuse, like, but dogs sticking their head out the window is not, like, they'll somehow do that. Like, motherfuckers.
Hey, Geodes.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah.
New Mexico may become the first state to have an official aroma. Well, I don't know if it's the first state to have an unofficial aroma.
I don't know. New Jersey kind of has
an unofficial aroma.
To it.
You see, a new bill moving through New Mexico legislature would make the state the first in the nation to have its own official aroma: green chilies roasting in the fall.
Yeehaw.
This is your government at work, my friend.
Yeah, this is our these are the important hard-hitting decisions that are landing in our Oval Office right now. Yeah, I mean it's like, okay, fine, cool. Hey, what about issues with the
everything
economy?
else?
What about everything else? Yeah,
Potholes.
Yeah.
Rain damage, fire damage.
your countrymen in another state who are under a state of emergency from an actual emergency.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things, but you know what? Let's have a state aroma. I mean, I know Ontario has their provincial aroma, but that kind of makes sense given our geographic location.
Beavers and cheese. I
No,
don't know.
no,
What is
it's
it?
burning. It's burning maple wood
Oh, it is? Okay.
and maple leaves, because with the fall cleanup, as it were, there's a lot of detritus that we need to clean up, leaves and branches and stuff, and so people burn it in their backyard in burn pits, and it's actually quite pleasant. It makes you love, at least being a resident here, it makes you have that sort of love for the upcoming season. So you get all these wonderful smells. People are burning wood in their fireplaces in these pits and whatever. It's you're smelling this beautiful, because I don't know if anybody how familiar you guys are with maple wood burning. It's a very sweet smoke. It's very rich, very sweet, very at least in my mind, very unique. And it's very nice. It's a very pleasant.
I can imagine it would be.
It's got a
I mean,
nice
I
feel.
hate that, you know, what's his name? Bill Poole? I don't know, whatever your senator is. You know, cute things like this, sure, they happen, whatever. You got to constantly be pushing your product, which is your state, because you want to entice people to come visit. But I think the appropriate thing to be doing right now would be to be doing things like saying, "Hey, why aren't we helping our fellow countrymen in need? And why aren't we working on the homeless problem and the drug problem in our own backyard?" But
Yeah.
Well, Ohio basically says to you guys, hold my beer. So
OHIO.
Ohio, the Ohio State University is now an avid watcher of NFL football like myself. I would say if you're an avid watcher of NFL football like myself, you've probably heard former Ohio State football players utter the phrase in their pre-recorded introductions, the Ohio State University. They've been marketing themselves as the Ohio State University.
You're not. Sorry.
And it's become such a huge tradition that they actually got a registered trademark
Of course
on
they
the
did.
use of the word the.
Of course they did.
They did. They actually got it.
It doesn't surprise me with Ohio. It does
But
not surprise
they
me.
had to fight for a long time to get the word the. I mean, the is a fairly common word. You would think that being able to trademark that would actually be kind of a problem. So use of the phrase...
I hear it's a more common pronoun now, too. So
yeah.
there, so.
Use of the phrase reached new levels when Ohio State filed a trademark application for the word the back in August 2019 for use on sports apparel. However, the Patent and Trade Office said, what you talking about, Willis? And they went back and filed multiple times and finally got somebody to let it go through. So yes, if you want to use the word the on sports apparel, you basically have to do it with acknowledging the trademark of Ohio State, or sorry, the Ohio State University.
Oh,
Is this
WVU and Marshall are going to give them so much shit when they come here for football. God.
Yeah, this is not going to go well. How can you trademark the word the? I'm sorry, but no. This is absolutely terrible. I was thinking this was going to make Skep incandescent.
I guarantee.
Had you heard about this before?
The thing is, there's been rumors, but everyone's like, "Get the fuck over yourself." One, you're not
they got
the
it.
only university in Ohio, and secondly, we're all going to ride your ass now because I can guarantee.
June 22nd of last year, they were granted the trademark. Ohio State University has trademarked the word "the."
The Bearcats are going to rip them a new butthole, man. Like, good lord. The amount of just
So who are the Bearcats? Not the Bearcats,
Cincinnati.
just Bearcats.
Bearcats are Cincinnati.
Okay.
They're Cincinnati. It's just Cincinnati University.
Okay.
They actually have a pretty good team. And then there's the team that's in the southern part of West Virginia, which is my neck of the woods, and then there's WVU, which everybody knows WVU.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then Indiana's probably going to give them shit too. Like, I can guarantee you, there's going to be some fucking because their big chant has always been OHIO, and there's a very specific way you do it. And the amount of shit that's going to be given, because I can guarantee you cheering sections are going to be given instructions how to fuck with them, and this is going to be so easy to fuck with them, because I can guarantee you, knowing some of the people I know at the WVU merch and the Marshall merch and the Bearcats merch people, they're probably going to put the in like parentheses or something like that, and then in front of their own. Like, they're
Put
just
in
gonna
irony quotes. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just gonna give them shit, and I'm here.
I think they should mock the hell out of Ohio for this.
They will. They absolutely
and
will.
and the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office while we're at it.
They'll go for them a little bit, but it's mostly Ohio, because it's kind of like Paris Hilton and trying to trademark That's Hot. It's like, where do you get the fucking balls? You are a university from Ohio. And get over yourself.
Where indeed.
The justification they use to actually win is that they put together much evidence to demonstrate that the word "the" has obtained secondary meaning. This refers to a new meaning built up in the minds of consumers separate from the usual definition of "the" in the English language. So they created this secondary meaning, and now they want it just. I mean, I'm not a fan of trademark or patents outside of actual
useful
schematics
shit?
For something. No. Like creating a proprietary piece of code or building a machine.
actual stuff that actually means something.
Schematics, yes.
Well, patents and trademarks are separate things, and probably for the sake of this conversation, we should set patents completely aside. But in terms of trademarks,
But to call it the machine and then trademark the name the machine, I'm just using as a placeholder, whatever the machine is called, and then to patent that name, to trademark that name, I think is completely stupid. I think it shouldn't exist. I don't think it should be. I think it should always be thrown out of court, because if I go and I buy a shirt that says Ohio State on it, from a licensed thing, it has those little tags on it that says this is licensed merchandise. If I buy some Chinese knockoff from Alibaba or whatever, then it doesn't have those those same tags on it. I know what I'm buying. I don't think it should be, one product should be legal, the other should be illegal, because they wrote down on a piece of paper, this is our name, and you can't ever use that name. I think even at its core, trademarks are mostly stupid.
The only thing that they're useful for is helping customers know whether they're buying the product that they think they're buying. That's about it. I mean, if you look at it from a market perspective, that's the sum total of it. So if it helps me identify something that I've used in the past, and I want to use again because I know that it works, then that's useful information. Beyond that, it's mostly just anti-competitive BS.
But like I said, it has to be something created. Listerine. What the fuck in the world is called Listerine? Nothing. They created the name to brand their product Listerine.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
I can't call it mouthwash and then trademark mouthwash, and then it's stupid. Even if I called it Listerine mouthwash, I can't trademark the term or the secondary meaning of mouthwash, because that is something that existed before the product was trademarked.
I see what you mean.
They didn't make it up, the term mouthwash. It's just what it is. Yeah. Sorry, I was being a little.
This is so par for the course for Ohio.
I mean, it's
university though.
But the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office knows better, and they must have just found somebody who was weak-willed and spongy in the head. Has like a little mad cat
like
disease
I said,
or something.
They created the evidence they needed to do this.
Yeah. I'm blaming mad cow disease. I like that theory.
I like mad cow.
But from something dumb to something smart, we were talking about DARPA recently. Remember DARPA, our buddies at DARPA who fund all the wacky stuff? Well, they did a hypersonic missile test not that long ago. They didn't disclose the actual time, but it was sometime in the last few months. And they launched this thing from a B-52, and it traveled about 300 miles at over Mach 5.
Holy shit!
Yeah. Now this particular type of engine, which is an air-breathing engine, is called a scramjet. Essentially, once you get this thing up to speed, it essentially is going fast enough that it can pull in a very large amount of air, which allows it to continue going fast. So you can't take off on a scramjet.
Yeah.
But what they do is they have a first stage solid rocket booster, which gets this thing up to hypersonic velocity. And then the scramjet kicks in, and it can just haul ass in atmosphere. And that's what's beautiful about a scramjet. So this thing is going fast enough that even at 60,000 feet, which is where this was, that's prime balloon territory, by the way.
I was going to say,
it can actually do 60,000 feet and above at Mach 5. And actually this thing's capable of doing up to Mach 14.
What?
Yeah, that's what a scramjet's capable of. But this first test went so incredibly well that Lockheed Martin awarded Navy hypersonic missile contract worth over $1 billion. With options, it can actually be over $2 billion.
Yeah.
Now, the Russians have been making a big deal out of this, trying to scare the crap out of us. What little intelligence we have on this, which may be completely wrong, says that the Russians are having a hell of a time dealing with the heat that's generated from this. And they're not really quite sure what to do. They can make a missile go this fast. And the Chinese have done tests as well. We're entering a bold new arms race where can we print money for long enough that we can let them bankrupt themselves before we do?
They're at least the stuff coming out of China, they're practically bankrupt already. They're just biding time at this point.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
They're both just buying time.
But just a scramjet, it's just bonkers.
I know.
It's
No,
just
great.
bonkers.
But
Yeah,
think about the
Assassin-
implications in space, though. If they can figure out how to make that work,
I almost called you dude, which just feels wrong.
Well,
but
no, a
when
scramjet-
little,
A scramjet can't. No, a scramjet.
It can't go into
cannot work in
space.
I don't
Can't
care.
work in a vacuum.
but,
I know it can't work in a vacuum, but I'm saying the stuff that this initiates, the people that
No,
get to
yeah,
start
yeah,
working,
yeah,
start coming with
okay,
other
yeah.
things. Like we could have FTL. We could have FTL
Like-
before I die.
Well,
You
we could have
understand
civilian
what this does for me?
aviation that's way better than the Concorde. We wouldn't be looking back at the Concorde days and going, yeah, remember when we used to be able to travel faster than,
And
400
then we
miles
had one
per hour?
accident and we went, well, fuck it, never mind now.
Yeah.
An Assassin
So
brings
you
up a
could
good-
build, you could build a commercial airliner with a scramjet that could potentially go, before we're dead. FTL is a bit of a stretch, but Mach 5 from LA to London, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, I
Were
mean,
you trying to say
let's
functional?
start with the ion drives first. No, Assassin brings up a good, point that I wanted
what
to
did he say?
bring up
What
on.
did he say?
Pete Maverick Mitchell already went Mach 10.2. Yeah, that's impressive, and why that's impressive is because even reaching Mach 1 is an
A big
amazing.
Well, the
feat.
X-15 was a
Just for
rocket plane.
comparison, Just for comparison, the Tomahawk missile travels at just under 600 miles per hour.
Yeah, but the X-15 is an absolutely freakishly bonkers piece of engineering. I don't think most people understand. I think that's what we're referring to. How amazing the X-15 was. The choice of propellant that they actually use, because the propellant goes through the nozzle of the bell nozzle, to keep it from overheating. So you actually preheat the propellant by running it through there. The choice of propellant and oxidizer had to be. They finessed this thing to just the nth degree with the technology that they had. The X-15 is way more bonkers than most people realize. It's a fantastic piece of engineering. I love it. But scramjets, it's so good.
Making a joke. So what was the
The X-15 was a rocket plane.
Yeah, the X-15 was a rocket plane.
And this is an air breather that can actually go ridiculously fast in the atmosphere, even when the atmosphere is thin.
The X-15 is fucking awesome, man. I love
Okay.
that
It is.
thing.
the fastest humans have ever gone in a manned aircraft is 6.7 Mach. But again, even in Mach 1 is 761 miles per hour. That's still, Mach 1 is still faster than our fastest cruise missiles.
Well, cruise missiles have a different set of priorities. They're designed to fly really, really low and to have multiple ways of having high accuracy to get to a target. So they evade being blown up by flying very, very low. Now, of course, an air-launched cruise missile isn't low the whole time, but a sea-launched cruise missile is a pretty fearsome thing. You don't really want to be on the receiving end of one of those.
Yeah, I mean, 600, I think it's like 570 miles per hour.
And it
It's
carries
still
a
nothing to
decent
sneeze at.
payload for its size.
Yeah, depending on what they need to hit. But again, even 570 miles per hour is nothing to sneeze at for a weapon like that. And to have one that could go, let's say we fired it at a target going it reaches Mach 5 or whatever, and then it hits the target. Not only are you delivering that payload, you're delivering the concussive force of a ballistic object traveling at Mach 5. Whatever you're aiming at is just gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
Aw.
And if it can potentially reach Mach 14,
But
That's just a sonic boom.
The
Like,
amount of time that it went from successful test to here, take our money, was really not that much. It's like, how you look at a product occasionally and go, yeah, take my money. That response.
Well-
That's what the government did here. They went from successful test to here, have $1 billion or $2 billion
Yes, but that's because
in
how the
like a
industry
very short period of time. Because to the government, that's like, oh, you have a hypersonic thing that might actually work. Take my money. Because we'll just get into a spending war with the Russians and the Chinese
and
about
work
this.
better, work better than our enemies. That's the
they
big thing.
typically have to get to the point where there's some proof of concept. And so this launch was a proof of concept where it was already decided 4 years ago when they started developing these propulsion systems. We will give you a juicy contract to buy these. Give us proof of concept.
Yeah.
As soon like you said, as soon as proof of concept was in the books, that ink was wet on that deal, and they were
And
the bank.
DARPA will move on to the next thing now. You know,
Yeah,
now
that's
that it's
why
going
I love
to
DARPA.
yeah.
Because you're dangling that carrot in front of the company's faces, going, just get us something that works. It, like the Iron Man suit, they've put out potential contracts to all these developers. As soon as one of them can produce a workable, feasible proof of concept, they're going to be developing these exoskeletons for frontline warfare.
Are you familiar with geckos?
Yes.
Okay.
The
So if you
animals?
look at, you know how geckos can basically climb up the side of a sheer wall?
Yes.
The way they do that is if you look at their hands, those little things, they're not really suction cups, but they have these little tiny fibers on them.
Yeah, they're like Velcro almost. It's
Right. And well, essentially they have like electrostatic force on these little fibers, and they're able to hang on to surfaces. There's actually was a DARPA project about, I think it's like 15 years ago, where they were trying to mimic that and come up with something that humans could use that had like a glove, would let them climb a sheer surface. That's the kind of shit that DARPA puts money behind. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
no,
you basically
I-
have your human gecko suit.
I understand, and I understand this doesn't directly feed to the FTL stuff, but I'm just the space stuff that we'll be able to do with some of this shit is just yes.
Yeah.
Well, usually it's the other way around. Usually it's the things that we develop for our high level endeavors, like this, like space travel and what have you. Usually influences. There's a trickle down into our everyday technology.
Oh, I almost forgot. They want to launch it from these things, the Zumwalt class things. Now, considering that we almost don't really have a well-defined role for these things, these super expensive destroyers or guided missile cruisers, it's almost like it's a twofer, because they not only get something that's going to get us into a spending war with the Chinese and the Russians, but it actually gives a reason for these boats to exist.
It's just I just love the fact that it's like at this point it's just like China and Russia were like, yeah, look at our shit.
Sorry,
Oh,
the
fuck.
Zumwalt's a destroyer. I'm sorry, but I got that wrong. But
It's cool. They're just like, oh shit. We said a balloon. It's just like, haha.
So I almost never talk about AI, because most of the AI discussions I'm just not super interested in, but I thought this was kind of interesting. So this is just an example. So there's a board in Stack Exchange where they just talk about Ubuntu questions. So you want to use Ubuntu OS, talk about these questions there. They've come out with a policy. They've made their temporary policy permanent. It's like, if you put any AI generated stuff in as an answer to one of the questions, they will just delete it and kick you off. They've decided, no, we don't want any part of this machine generated answer stuff. And I think this is the right approach, really.
Question.
Because, sorry, go ahead.
How would they know it's AI generated?
Probably from the extremely boilerplate nature of the response.
True, but if the AI gets to the point that it's good, how would they then tell at that point?
You mean if it's indistinguishable from a regular response? well, you start with when you deal with humans, right? There's things you can either say we need technology to stop people from doing it, but you can also just solve it since it's a human problem with a policy.
True.
So can you stop it completely? No. But can you have a policy that says we don't want this crap here? Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And I think that this legally helps in some ways, because if a person is making representation that this is my answer, right? So John Q. Public says, this is my answer, and they answer the question. If they're actually representing an answer from a third party as something that they themselves wrote, then it's kind of on them. You know, it's sort of a CYA sort of thing.
Gotcha,
Because who knows where the AI even got its boilerplate from? Because the AI is scanning all this stuff, some of which may even be copyrighted or controlled by who knows what kind of restrictions, right? And then you regurgitate it in the form of an AI. You essentially put the board at risk of copyright violation, for instance, right? So by saying, no, you have to say that this is your output, it's original stuff, and you're giving us permission to publish your answer, then it's clean. It shifts the responsibility to somebody else. So it isn't just about preventing the AI from getting in there. It's also a giant CYA exercise for everybody who uses the board.
Gotcha. Okay, I understand.
Sorry, I didn't explain that very well, but that's better than better than it could be.
No, it gives me an idea about like, oh, okay, so that's how they do it because it's the whole rule of setting precedents. Like we're going to tell you you're not allowed to do it. So if we catch you, we can deal with you. We know some of you are still going to do it because you're assholes. But this way, when we catch you, we have something to do instead of just saying whoopsies. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I run into this sort of thing all the time. We should come up with a way to make the system to prevent this. Have the system prevent people from doing X.
Yeah.
And then I say, well, if it's a human problem we're trying to solve, why don't we just tell people not to do that?
Yeah.
And then see how well that works. Just as a starting point, instead of implementing some crazy thing, especially if it's somebody who's on your payroll, then you've actually got like clout. You know, the person who's paying you money is telling you don't do it this way.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. So we got that. And let's see. Do we want to talk about this? Oh, yes. The James Webb Telescope. So the James Webb Telescope looked back as far as its little peepers could go and found something that should not be there, which are big ass, giant, mature looking galaxies. And they found them at a time after the Big Bang, which was 700 million years, 500 to 700 million years, that you really should not be finding anything like that if the theories about how the universe evolved are correct. Yeah, so they really did not expect that to be there. So, Big Bang, matter expands, inflation occurs, so a small amount of matter becomes a bigger amount of matter. Things are ridiculously hot, they cool off, and then structures start to form. Once things start to become a little more civilized, everything isn't just a hot ball of ionized gas. So from the understanding of how fast things cooled off from the cosmic microwave background radiation, we have some estimates as to when galaxies should have formed. Supermassive black holes formed, galaxies formed around them, gobbled each other up, all these things happened. And they were not expecting to see anything like what they saw 500 to 700 million years after the Big Bang. Yeah. So Webb has already basically turned a certain branch of cosmology, on its head. This is fantastic because it's one thing to think you know the answer to something. It's another to look out at the world and go, yeah, I didn't know what I was talking about, which is awesome.
This is exactly the type of things that we were expecting, if not hoping for, because
surprises.
Surprises, or proving something that we, air quotes, know to be true, disproving that or changing it in some way that's so. Because I'm speechless. Like really, like we're seeing things in the galaxy that, from our own derived hypothesis on what we know about physics and the universe and what little we can glean from what we can observe, it's just been turned on its head.
Yeah, stars and galaxies formed much earlier than we thought they did.
I'm just wondering how the ancient alien crackpots are going to turn this into, we were right about whatever stupid shit they
gives
right
much
about.
More. Are you familiar with Michio Kaku and his sort of categorization of civilizations by type?
I am, but he's been on Ancient Aliens a lot more recently, so I don't know how much I want to listen to him anymore. I'm like,
that actually might be an interesting topic for another night.
He's a brilliant man, and he's a bit of a showman too. So don't take that.
Did you say Shillman?
Showman.
Oh,
showman.
Shillman.
He likes to aggrandize and make things easily digestible for plebs who wouldn't.
If you listen to what he talks in Ancient Aliens, it's not for digestibility. It's for literally. Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like, look up some of the clips. He's literally saying, "Science is wrong. The people are hiding it from us. It's aliens." It's just like I listen to Shatner because I'm at this point. Shatner's 93. Fuck it.
At least he's not Richard. At least he's not Richard Hoagland, and that's a whole different conversation.
Oh God.
Pyramids on Mars. Pareidolia on parade.
This is so cool. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, we've hit the 2-hour mark.
Me.
Yeah.
And then some. I think we should probably call it a night. Anybody have anything quick?
I don't think so. Does Chad have anything quick?
Oh, yeah. I told you guys that I watched this show on Prime the other day. It's kind of, what's it called? God
Which one are you talking about there, Willis?
I'm brain farting. Hold on, I'm trying to bring up the.
Is it the
consultant?
Yeah,
the consultant. It's on Amazon. It's with God, why am I brain farting so hard? Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, I love him.
And it's about
me.
It's about people in the app development. It's
About
so
me.
weird. It is so good. It is so weird and so wonderful and so good. I would. It's like a. I can't tell you what even what genre it is because it's so different than anything we've seen recently, and it's done well. So I mean, people have to watch it. It's a little bit of suspense, a little bit of supernatural, but not really.
Okay, don't tell me too much. I might actually watch it.
A little bit of corporate sort of intrigue, but not really. It's so unique. I can't describe it to anybody. You have to watch it. You have to experience it for yourself. I think you'll be pleasantly supplied, young and old alike. And Christoph Waltz is just he hasn't lost a step. He was on Mar pushing the show last week or the week before, and he kind of just kept looking at Mar like he was a total fucking asshole. And I loved it. I love that man because Christoph Waltz is an actor, and that's it. That's you ask him a question about anything, he's like, "I'm an actor. Why are you asking me?"
What's going on with this question I've highlighted, Functional? Did I miss something?
I honestly don't know enough about the different propellants and whatever. I just kind of see articles.
I'm more propellants for what?
Oh, we're talking about guns and weapons and artillery. Yeah.
They were talking about the rockets.
We're talking like the missile and everything. Like I'm more in the up there sort of in space kind of thing. So I can tell you about the latest on ion drive technology, but we don't really want to get into that. It's very dry.
Oh, there's actually the whole ion drive thing. I might bring it up at some point. There's some stuff that's a little off the mainstream path that you might be interested in on ion drives.
No, Assassin, I can't explain it to you because it doesn't fit into categories. Like I can't tell you it's a show about like corporate espionage because it's not. I can't tell you that it's a supernatural thriller because it's not. It's just it's well made, very interesting, fun to watch show that gives you a conclusion, but also kind of makes you scratch your head. It's really well done. It's not that I can't tell you what it's about. It's that if I did, it would kind of give away some of the fun little quirks about the show. It's really good. Trust me.
Yeah.
Or don't trust me. I mean, I know my entertainment stuff better than I know like things about propellants.
Did you watch Bosch at all, Functional?
Bosch.
BOSCH. No. Bosch is amazing. It's one of my. It's a fantastic series, and Titus Welliver, I think, is the star. He was so good. Now, this is probably where
it's on Amazon.
Where
it's on Amazon. It was an
Assassin's probably going to lose all respect from me, but I think Bosch as a sort of a not procedural, but it's like a crime thing. Yeah. But it's long story arcs where the story arc kind of spans the whole season. It's good. Okay. It's really good. And Titus is very, very good in it.
He's really good. I haven't seen him in Bosch or in any sort of titular role, but I've seen him play supporting characters and like, supplementary characters to things. And he's one of those actors. He chews up.
He's really good. He's really
so good.
I love that show. And I actually haven't seen the last season, so I'm going to take what you said and just use it as a reminder that I need to go watch the last season. It's like season 6 of Bosch.
I see season 7, so it's got to be the last season 7. 2021.
I think we're good though. We're starting to hemorrhage viewers and stuff. So I'm going to thank panel. Oh, what? Geodes, go.
I just watched the trailer and I love the top comment. It goes, "Finally, a show that accurately portrays what us consultants do."
That's right. Told you it's about me.
Okay, to give you the 30-second elevator pitch.
It's not going to be 30 seconds.
Hold on. If you'd stop interrupting me.
6 floors.
There's a video game app company that their CEO dies, a consultant comes in, and the hilarity ensues. It's really great. It's really great.
So what exactly is it that you do here? I take the reports.
You know what? I can't say anything. It's honestly,
I know.
Guys, it's like you take Office Space and like The Devil's Advocate with Keanu Reeves and like Bob's Burgers, and you kind of mashed it together and pulled it apart and made something. It's so completely unique. And as somebody who watches a ton of garbage, like just to say, hey, I've seen it. I know it's trash. I know what I'm talking about. This is refreshingly original and amazing. Anyway. Woo!
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
All right, so I'm going to put a pin in it. We're done. Good night, everybody. Thanks, panel. Thanks, chat. Toodaloo.
Thanks, Harry. Bye.
All right.